In the bustling village of Umofia, where the vibrant sounds of daily life mingled with the rustle of palm trees, there lived a woman named Adaobi. She was known throughout the village, not for her industriousness or kindness, but for her insatiable love for gossip. Every morning, as the sun cast its golden rays over the red earth, Adaobi would set off, her bright wrapper swaying, ready to gather and spread the latest news. Her husband, Chinedu, was a hard-working man with a heart of gold. He loved Adaobi dearly and wanted nothing more than to see her happy and productive. Over the years, he had tried multiple times to set up businesses for her. There was a small provision store, the tailoring shop, and even a vegetable stall. Each venture started with hope but quickly crumbled. Adaobi's disinterest in work and her love for idle chatter ensured that no business lasted. Instead of attending to her responsibilities, Adaobi spent her days visiting her neighbors. Her laughter and voice could be heard long before she appeared at a compound. She would sit for hours, talking about everyone and everything. She knew who was getting married, she knew who was expecting a child, and she knew who had a dispute with their husband or wife or their in-laws. No detail was too small or insignificant for Adaobi to sweep under the carpet. Chinedu often returned home from a long day at work to find the house empty, his stomach growling and his body aching. He would search for his wife, only to find her in a neighbor's house, deep in conversation. Many evenings, the food will be either burnt or not cooked at all, forgotten in Adaobi's excitement over the latest village scandal. One particularly exhausting day, Chinedu came home to find the kitchen filled with smoke. The pot of yam porridge on the fire was burnt beyond recognition. Chinedu has always been a patient husband, but his patience is running out. He confronted Adaobi, his voice raised in frustration. Adaobi, how many times must I tell you? This gossiping will be the ruin of us. Our home is in disarray, and I am tired of coming home to nothing but smoke and empty pots. Adaobi, nonchalant and unbothered, waved him off. Chinedu, you worry too much. It is just burnt food, my love. I was having a conversation with Neka and totally forgot I was cooking. I am sorry. I will make it up to you. The food will be very fine next time. But there was never a next time. Chinedu's warnings and pleas always fell on deaf ears. Adaobi continued her gossiping rounds, and Chinedu began to eat at the local restaurant before coming home to avoid the inevitable disappointments. Amara, a young woman in Umofia village, soon became Adaobi's closest gossip partner. Amara, just like Adaobi, know everyone and everything happening in the village, and both of them always have more than enough gossip and rumors to share between themselves. And as the days turned into weeks, Amara's presence in Adaobi's life grew more pronounced. She was with her in the mornings, afternoons, and evenings, always with a mischievous smile and a chattery mouth and a listening ear. The villagers began to notice their closeness and whispered amongst themselves that the two village notorious gossipers have become inseparable. But Adaobi and Amara paid them no heed, and the villagers also started to avoid the two of them like plague. Amara became a daily visitor in Adaobi's house. She would come early in the morning and leave late at night, and the two women would chatter the day away with reckless abandon. Amara's friendship with Adaobi now make her stay at home most of the times, as it was Amara that always comes to visit instead of her leaving her house to the other women for gossip. Even though Chinedu likes the idea of Adaobi staying at home, he isn't comfortable with the budding friendship with Amara because he knows how transparent and nonchalant his wife can be. It came to a point where there is no place in their home that Amara has not entered, even their matrimonial bedroom. Despite Chinedu's discomfort with Amara's presence in their home, Adaobi, blinded by her love for gossip, dismissed his concerns. She is just a friend, Chinedu. What harm can she do? One sunny afternoon, while sitting in the backyard of Adaobi's hut, Adaobi and Amara chatted away. Adaobi was recounting the latest village drama when Amara's eyes lit up with a mischievous glint. Adaobi, have you heard about the juju man from the next village? They say he can solve any problem, no matter how big or small. Adaobi laughed. her eyes wrinkling at the corners. Oh, Amara, you and all these your stories, eh? What problem do we have now that we want to solve? Amara leaned in closer, lowering her voice to a whisper. Adaobi, what if I told you he could make Chinedu even more devoted to you? Just imagine your husband not complaining or arguing about your gossiping, eh? He would even love you more and more and more, my friend. Adaobi snapped at her. Are you calling me Amebo? Ah, no, Abba. You know I don't mean it like that now, eh? Amara answered cleverly, a mischievous grin on her face. Adaobi's pout was quickly replaced by a thoughtful expression. The idea of having Chinedu's unwavering love and eliminating his constant nagging was tempting. And how do you know this human can do such things? Amara smiled. I have seen it with my own eyes. Oh. A woman in my old village used these charms, and now her husband dotes on her like never before. Intrigued by the prospect of her husband loving her like never before, Adaobi agreed to meet the juju man. The next day, Amara led her through winding paths and dense forests to a small secluded hut. The air was thick with the smell of herbs and incense. Inside, the juju man, an elderly figure with piercing eyes and an aura of mystery, greeted them. He listened to Adaobi's story, nodding thoughtfully. For a small fee, I can give you a potion that will make your husband adore you even more. Adaobi, desperate for the kind of love Amara had painted to her, handed over the money without hesitation. The juju man gave her a small bottle filled with a dark, viscous liquid and instructed her to mix it into Chinedu's food. Back home, Adaobi followed his instructions. She cooked a sumptuous meal of starch, palm nut soup and bushmeat, ensuring the potion was well mixed inside the soup. That evening, when Chinedu came home, the aroma of the food greeted him. Even though he wasn't hungry, as he already has his regular fill at Ekaman's canteen, he joyfully ate the food, as Adaobi's palm nut soup is always to die for. Over the next few days, Adaobi noticed a change in Chinedu. He seemed more affectionate, less irritable, and more willing to overlook her gossiping. Adaobi was delighted, believing the juju man's potion had worked wonders. One beautiful morning, as the sun rose over Umofia, casting long shadows and a bright hue over the village, Adaobi woke up with a sense of satisfaction. The potion seemed to be working, and Chinedu's newfound affection filled her heart with joy. She decided to surprise him with his favorite breakfast of akamu and akara. As she bustled in the kitchen, humming a cheerful tune, Amara arrived, her presence now a daily routine. Adaobi welcomed her with a smile, offering her a seat and a share of the breakfast. Amara, you won't believe it. Chinedu has been so sweet these past few days, eh? I think the juju man's potion really worked though, Adaobi said, her eyes sparkling with happiness. Amara replied delightfully, Shebi, I told you, that man's juju is very potent too. I am happy for you, my friend. See her as you are shining safe. It's all thanks to you, oh, my sweet sister. If not for you, me and Chinedu, na so fight every day. Thank you, my sister. Adaobi replied. Amara and Adaobi laughed together as Adaobi served her a bowl of pap and some balls of akara. But Amara had other plans. One that would soon unravel the fragile peace of Adaobi and Chinedu's home and test the strength of their love. She had her own potion from the same medicine man, one designed to draw Chinedu's affection towards her. Unknown to Adaobi, the potion the medicine man gave to her is to make the one he had earlier given to Amara even more potent on Chinedu. Amara was in her late 20s, beautiful and single. Amara's desperation for a husband led her to admire Chinedu from afar. She saw in him the qualities she desired in a husband: kindness, diligence, and a forgiving nature. Clever and cunning Amara made herself indispensable to Adaobi, becoming her inseparable friend and frequent visitor. After breakfast, Chinedu left for work, kissing Adaobi on the cheek. Amara watched with narrowed eyes, jealousy coursing through her body. She knew she had to act quickly before Chinedu's juju-induced affection goes on for too long. That afternoon, as Chinedu was thinking of going to Ekama's restaurant for lunch, Amara appeared at his workshop with a basket of food. She had cooked ofe nsala, Chinedu's favorite soup, and mixed her own love potion in it. Feigning sweet smile and humility, she lied to him that his wife, Adaobi, had sent her to bring the food. Chinedu accepted the food gratefully and Amara took her leave. The aroma of ofe nsala and grilled bushmeat was irresistible. He ate heartily whilst praising his wife's culinary skills. As the days passed, Amara's visits to Chinedu's workplace became more frequent. She brought him lunch and dinner, each meal laced with the potent love potion. Cunningly, she had found out from Adaobi herself the kind of foods Chinedu loves and how he loves to be served his food during her numerous visits for their gossip sessions. Chinedu found himself thinking about her more often, her image intruding into his thoughts even when he was with Adaobi. Adaobi noticed the change but dismissed it, believing the potion she had given Chinedu was simply making him more content. She continued her daily routine of gossiping and spending time with Amara, unaware of the storm that is brewing under her roof. One fateful evening, Chinedu came home later than usual. His eyes had a distant, glazed look, and his demeanor was cold. Adaobi rushed to greet him, but he brushed past her without a word. Confused and hurt, she followed him into the house. "Chinedu, what is wrong? Did something happen at work?" she asked, her voice tinged with worry. Chinedu turned to her, his face devoid of the warmth she had come to expect. "Adaobi, I don't know how to say this, but I think it is best if you leave. I need some time alone." Adaobi's heart skipped a beat. She stared at Chinedu, her eyes wide with shock. "Leave? What do you mean, Chinedu? This is our home." Chinedu's face hardened. "I need space. Things aren't working between us. I think it is best if you take the children and go." Tears welled up in Adaobi's eyes. "But Chinedu, we can walk through this. Please, let's talk. What is happening?" Chinedu turned away, his voice flat and emotionless. "There's nothing to talk about, Adaobi. Just go. Leave these minutes." The weight of his words crushed Adaobi's spirit and tears streamed down her face. She stood in front of Chinedu defiantly with tears in her eyes. "Chinedu, I am going nowhere. After 3 children, you're asking me to go. Go where exactly? What have I done to you? Why do you want me to go?" Before she could finish her last statement, Chinedu descended on her and started to beat her. He beat her until all her eyes and cheeks became swollen and he left bruises all over her body. He was so possessed that he didn't even hear all her cries and pleas, and only when Adaobi was able to wriggle out of his hold and ran out of the house did he stop beating her. Adaobi went to look for Amara to come and save her from this trouble, but Amara was nowhere to be found. She didn't meet her at home. She waited and waited, but eventually went back home when Amara was not forthcoming. There was no one else in the village she could go and meet, as she has spread one rumor or another about everyone, and the villagers has avoided her and her friend Amara for as long as they could. She went back home and packed her belongings and gathered her children, who clung to her, confused and scared. As she stepped out of their home, she cast one last pleading look at Chinedu, but his back was turned on her. Word spread quickly through the village. Neighbors watched with pity as Adaobi and her children left their home. They whispered among themselves, shocked by the sudden turn of events. Adaobi sought refuge with her aunt, who lived in a nearby village called Agulu, which is about 20 minutes trek from the outskirts of Umuofia. Her aunt, Mama Nkechi, welcomed them with open arms, providing comfort and support. "My dear, you are always welcome here. We will find a way through this." "Thank you, Auntie," Adaobi replied with sobs while her children looked on, confused about the unfolding events. As Adaobi settled into her aunt's home, the reality of her situation sank in. She had lost her home, her husband, and her sense of stability. She was filled with sorrow, but she drew strength from her aunt's words, who promised to get to the bottom of the issue. Meanwhile, back in Umuofia, Amara wasted no time. She moved into Adaobi's home the same evening Adaobi left, taking over her role as Chinedu's wife. Chinedu, still under the spell, welcomed Amara into his life. He believed that she was the answer to the questions his heart seeks, unaware of the dark magic that had clouded his judgment. The villagers were appalled by her audacity, but Amara didn't care what anyone had to say. She had what she wanted and nothing else mattered. News reached Mama Nkechi through her market women friends from Umuofia the next day that Amara, Adaobi's closest friend and gossip partner, had moved into Chinedu's home as his wife the moment Adaobi left. When Adaobi heard this, she almost ran mad. She started screaming and crying. Mama Nkechi snapped at her to get a grip of herself. On Mama Nkechi's request, Adaobi told her everything from the gossips she shared with Amara to the villagers avoiding the two of them, to Amara making her home a second house, coming every day, to how she took her to a medicine man that gave her love potion to put in Chinedu's food. At the point where she mentioned the potion, Mama Nkechi shouted, "Ha, Adaobi, what have you done? You have used your own hands to scatter your home, eh? Ha, Adaobi, you are so gullible, so stupid and gullible. You have allowed a small girl to outsmart and overthrow you from your own matrimonial home, eh? My sister, your mother, will be turning in her grave right now, eh? What are we going to do, oh?" Adaobi just sat there sobbing, still in shock that Amara is capable of such evil. She couldn't have seen it coming, as Amara is always smiles and full of sweet gists. She never imagined her being capable of this level of malice. Mama Nkechi took Adaobi to an old woman. She was bent with age, her hair white as snow and her eyes sharp and knowing. The villagers called her Wanyoma, the wise woman. Mama Nkechi told her of Adaobi's plight. After listening intently, Wanyoma handed Adaobi a small pouch filled with herbs and a vial of clear liquid. This is a counter potion for any type of love potion. You will need to find a way to put this in your husband's meal and the spell will be broken. Mama Nkechi and Adaobi thanked Wanyoma and left. The next morning, Adaobi served a delicious bowl of ofe nsala, Chinedu's favorite soup, and mixed the antidote inside. She packed it with pounded yam inside a clean, beautiful basket and set out to Umuofia to go and see Chinedu. On getting to his workshop, Chinedu chased her away like a mad dog, not even listening to anything she has to say, talk less of collecting anything from her. Adaobi left Umuofia, head bent in shame. Amara played her part well as the dutiful wife. She is always cooking, making sure that Chinedu has no cause to eat outside. Sometimes when she takes lunch to him in his workshop, she will sit for hours, playing and chatting with him as if he won't come back home to her. She also cleans and arranges the house as if her life depended on it. She walks through the village and in the market like an accomplished woman, reveling in her new position as Chinedu's wife, never minding what the villagers are saying, whether in her presence or behind her. Adaobi, on the other hand, lives her days in misery. She had the solution in her hand but doesn't have a way to use it. She had tried going back to Chinedu's workshop twice after the first time, but she was met with the same fate. The last one she went, Mama Nkechi had followed her so that Chinedu would at least grant them audience, but Chinedu chased both of them away with a metal rod. Adaobi thought of Ekama, the owner of the local restaurant where Chinedu usually buys lunch in the afternoons. She would meet Ekama and beg her to help her put the antidote in Chinedu's food. She set out to Umuofia, to Ekama's restaurant. The moment she got to the canteen and Ekama spotted her, Ekama started shouting, "Adaobi, what are you doing in my shop, oh? Which gossip or rumors have you brought with you? Please, oh Adaobi, the village gossip, I don't want your problems. Before you go and tell everyone that I'm using juju to sell my food." Adaobi has a solemn look on her face. She couldn't raise her eyes to meet Ekama's blazing stare. Some months back, when Chinedu started eating at Ekama's restaurant because of Adaobi's refusal to prepare a decent meal for her family, Adaobi had spread rumor through the village that Ekama is using juju to pull away people's husbands to come and eat in her restaurant so that they would spend the money they would have given their wives in her restaurant. This rumor had affected Ekama's business for some time before the villagers discarded the rumor as mere talk. Adaobi went on her knees and started pleading with Ekama. "Please, Ekama, I am truly sorry for all the things I have said about you or any other person. I deeply regret my actions. I am already paying the price of my gossips and fake rumors. Please forgive me, Ekama." Ekama hissed with disgust. "No problem, Adaobi. What do you want? I'm sure you are not here to just say sorry. Adaobi replied quietly, please, I need your help. You already know what is happening in my home. Everyone knows that Amara has casted a love spell on my husband. I have gotten an antidote, but I don't have access to Chinedu. I know he eats here. That is why I want you to help me. Ha! Chinedu doesn't eat here anymore. Ever since Amara entered his house, he has not stepped here to eat. Unlike you, who is always busy with gossips, Amara has all the time in this world to cook for Chinedu, Ekama said with sneer in her voice. Adaobi was sad to hear that Chinedu no longer eats at Ekama's restaurant. That was her last hope. How is she going to get the antidote into Chinedu's food? She thanked Ekama and made to leave the restaurant, downcasted. Ekama watched her as she was going. Her initial disgust for her turned into pity as she watched her slumped shoulders. Something touched Ekama and she called Adaobi back. Adaobi, even though you have offended me in the past, I will overlook that and help you. What Amara did to you is very bad, and to top it all, she is carrying shoulder throughout the village like she is the queen of the village. Thank you, Ekama. I will really appreciate your help. It is nothing, but please, I don't want trouble. This antidote, hope it won't have side effects or backfire. I don't want to be involved in anything bad. Ah, no, a kind-hearted old woman in Agulu gave it to me. I trust her. She has no cause to harm me or Chinedu. I also will not want anything to happen to Chinedu. I just want my man and my home back. No wahala. Let us think of how to go about it. As you can see, there are lots of customers and I need to oversee what my girls are doing. So come back tomorrow. Let's try and come up with a plan by tomorrow. Adaobi thanked Ekama from the bottom of her heart and left for Agulu. The next day, Adaobi was the first to get to Ekama's shop. Ekama was shocked to see her waiting. They came up with a plan. Ekama would send one of her girls to Chinedu's shop from time to time to tempt him into buying food. But Adaobi would always be around to put the potion in the food as she has to do it with her own hands. So every morning, Adaobi comes to Umofia in the morning and goes back to Agulu in the evening. Each day, hopeful that day will be the day Chinedu eats from Ekama's kitchen. After several weeks of sojourn to and fro Umofia, Adaobi's will started waning. Even though Agulu is just 20 minutes trek from Umofia, the everyday walk and sitting idly in one place around Ekama's kitchen was beginning to bore her. She told Mama Nkechi that she's tired of going to Umofia, but Mama Nkechi told her to not even think of quitting if she truly wants her home back. She then came up with an idea. Why don't you start taking some of my woven fabrics to Umofia markets to sell? That way, you aren't just sitting idly. Adaobi's face lit up at the idea. So she started to sell fabrics at Umofia market. She told Ekama about her business and they agreed that Ekama will send for her in the market anytime she is able to get Chinedu to eat at her restaurant so that she can come and use the antidote. News soon reached Amara that Adaobi is back in the village and she is selling fabrics in the market. So every morning after Chinedu has gone to his workshop, Amara will dress gorgeously to the market to go and parade herself so that Adaobi can see her and become jealous. Adaobi understood the game Amara is playing, so she paid her no heed, no matter how tempting it is to pick a fight with her. One day, one of Ekama's girls came to Adaobi's stand and summoned her to the shop. Adaobi quickly arrived and came into the restaurant through the back door. She saw Chinedu sitting inside the restaurant sipping palm wine from a small calabash, waiting impatiently for his food. Ekama had dished the food inside the plate and Adaobi quickly retrieved the antidote from the hem of her wrapper where she usually ties it every morning to ensure it is with her all the times. She put the antidote in the soup and used a small spoon to mix it in. Ekama carried the food and went to serve him as she has sent all the girls away from the kitchen side so that they will not see what is happening. Ekama exchanged pleasantries with Chinedu as he started to eat his food. Adaobi watched Chinedu with hopeful eyes as he ate the food presented to him. Chinedu finished his food and left the restaurant. As he walked into his workshop, his mind started clearing. He had a confused and remorseful look on his face. By the time he got to his workshop, he was restless. He packed up for the day and went home. As soon as he got to the front door, he started shouting, "Adaobi, Adaobi, where are you, my wife?" Amara, who was having her usual afternoon nap, woke up to the screams of Chinedu. As she was trying to stand up from the bed to go and see what the problem was, Chinedu stormed into the room and saw her. "What are you doing here? Why are you on my bed? And where is my wife?" Chinedu roared. Amara was shocked to see Chinedu in this light. Her heart started racing. She knew the effects of the juju had waned and Chinedu is now back to his right senses. She tried to play it cool, stood up from the bed and smiled. "Chinedu, my dear husband, I am here. I am your wife. What is the problem?" Chinedu's eyes glowed red with anger. "What do you mean? What are you saying? Where is Adaobi?" Amara tried to lean closer to him, smiling. "My husband, what is wrong?" "It is me, your wife." Oh. Before she could finish her last statement, a thunderous slap landed across her cheeks. "See, Amara, what do they call you? I don't ever want to see you in my house again. I am going to look for Adaobi. Before I come back, just make sure that you have disappeared into thin air." And with that, Chinedu stormed out and started to shout and ask everyone in sight whether they have seen Adaobi. Amara quickly rushed out to the Juju man's village to tell him what had happened. He gave her another potion to put in Chinedu's food again. When Amara told him Chinedu might not even want to see her, talk less of eating her food, the man told her to use the cunning feminine method she used the fourth time, as that's the only way to get Chinedu's attention again. She thanked the old man and left. Meanwhile, Adaobi was still at Ekama's shop, deeply worried whether the antidotes will work or not. Ekama told her not to think too much of it and put her belief in it that it will work. Then Ekama proceeded to engage Adaobi in happy conversations so that she would get her out of worry, but that did little to help. Whilst they were discussing, one of Ekama's girls stormed into the shop and told them that Chinedu has been running around the village looking for Adaobi and shouting her name. The moment Adaobi heard this, she ran out of the shop towards Chinedu's house. Adaobi and Chinedu met each other halfway to their home. Chinedu held Adaobi tightly. "Adaobi, I am so sorry. I don't know what came over me. Please come back home." Adaobi hugged her husband, speechless, tears of relief streaming down her face. They went back home together. Few neighbors had gathered in front of their house, and Adaobi told everyone the tale of how Amara used juju to capture her husband to everyone present. When Amara got back, she saw from a distance Chinedu and Adaobi and few neighbors talking. She couldn't move near, so she waited until the neighbors had gone. She moved closer to the house with fake tears in her eyes. She knelt in front of the house at a short distance to where Chinedu and Adaobi sat. Once Chinedu spotted her, he rose up angrily and charged towards her. "I thought I told you never to come back here. Go back to wherever you came from, Jezebel." She started pleading to them not to throw her out, lying that she is pregnant. "You are what? Pregnant for who?" Chinedu blew out. Adaobi just sat there. Her joy has been cut short again. If Amara is truly pregnant, that means she will be in their lives forever, making everything complicated. Chinedu asked Amara to leave them and come back the next day so he can clear his head. Amara was happy that Chinedu and Adaobi seemed to believe her lie about the pregnancy. Her plan is to make sure she stays in the house to have access to Chinedu so she can give him the new potion Baba gave her. Adaobi sent for Ekama, who is now her new bosom body. She told her of Amara's pregnancy, but Ekama seemed to not believe it. "It is like you people want Amara to destroy the newfound joy that you have now. If she is pregnant, in the next few weeks or months, the pregnancy will show. Then she should come back. But right now, that the pregnancy have not shown, she should stay in her house." Ekama told Chinedu and Adaobi. The couple thanked her and Ekama went back to her shop. The next day, when Amara came back very early in the morning, Chinedu told her to go. If and when he is sure she is truly pregnant and her stomach is bulging out, he will know what to do about it. Amara's plan has failed miserably. She left Chinedu's house with a sullen face. Over the next few days, she tried severally to go to his workshop to plead with him, whilst bringing several dishes of Chinedu's favorite meals, but Chinedu refused to fall for it. One day, in desperation, Amara used clothes wrapped into a belly shape inside her clothes to make her stomach bigger and pretend to be pregnant so that Chinedu will believe and allow her stay in his house as a wife. She reached Chinedu's workshop and showed him her belly. She pleaded with him that the shame of being pregnant whilst not in a husband's house is too much for her to bear, and Chinedu should please reason with her and let her come back to her home. Chinedu, who had been hoping that Amara's belly will never come out, was careful not to fall into her trap. He told her they will go and visit Mama Ejima, the village midwife, who will check her if truly she is pregnant. Amara said no problem. She will come back the following day and they will go to Mama Ejima. Chinedu agreed and she left. But to his surprise, Amara did not come back the following day or the day after that, which further affirmed to Chinedu that she is lying about her pregnancy. Back in their home, Adaobi and Chinedu worked hard to restore the peace and happiness they once knew. Adaobi, having learned from her past mistakes, abandoned her gossiping ways. She focused on her family and threw herself into rebuilding their lives. With Chinedu's support, her fabric selling business flourished. Her hard work paid off and she became a respected person in the village. As for Amara, she was shunned by the villagers and left Umuofia in shame. Her reputation was forever tainted, and she learned the hard way that deceit and dark magic could not bring true happiness.